When I first started marathon training or distance running in general, I realized something most runners overlook: strength training. With this video, I want to answer the question: why do I run and lift weights, and why do I coach my athletes to also who are runners to also lift weights, and how I can help you become stronger, faster, and injury free. For you guys who don't know who I am, I'm Dr. Ray Peralta, doctor of physical therapy for the past 10 years, and run coach and exercise physiology. Uh, with lots of experience helping runners stay healthy and improve their performance and also recover from injuries. The problem many runners face is I've noticed many injured runners don't do any strength training, or those that do it incorrectly or they do it partially. So strength training has so many benefits for runners, right? It helps with recovery, helps with injury prevention, it even helps you get faster. It makes you more efficient runner. If you're a stronger runner, you also run faster. You're able to generate more force so you could hit faster paces. So there's a misconception, right? Many people think that if they strength train, it's going to bulk them up. I noticed a lot of female runners or women runners who think that, hey, if I start strength training, I'm going to get too bulky. It's going to slow me down. And some male runners also believe this too. However, that's not true. It's a myth, right? It depends how you're strength training. If you're strength training like a bodybuilder and you're eating like a bodybuilder, yes, you're going to bulk up. If you're, eating and lifting weights like a bodybuilder. However, there is a way to strength training for running, for the sport of running, where you are not getting all bulked up and not looking like a 225-pound bodybuilder, right? If your goal is to be a bodybuilder, that's fine. But running, especially distance running like marathon running, half marathon running, and like elite level bodybuilder are two opposing goals. And even if you're taking performance enhancement drugs, it's still extremely hard to be successful at both sports simultaneously. So, anyway, strength training does help runners, and the way that strength training helps runners, obviously, yes, you can be a stronger runner, but it improves your tissue remodeling, like how your tissues actually, your tendons and your ligaments. So, a lot of times, actually, many runners every year get injured. About 80% of runners get injured year after year. Now, caveat: not all injuries are very severe. They're not like super big injuries. Some injuries are minor and they do recover rest. But as a general rule, though, when you're stronger, you also not just strengthen the muscles, but you strengthen the tendons, the ligaments, the connective tissue between the joints. And when these connective tissues are stronger, you decrease the risk of injury, right? You remodel them through a proper strength training plan. You're also more efficient. You improve the neuromuscular pathways, like the brain sends a signal to the muscles to activate. So if you're more efficient with just activating muscles and tendons, what does that translate to? You are also faster runs and more efficient runs, so you don't get tired as easy, right? So you could go on an easy run or pace that that used to be hard for you now becomes easy just because you're a lot stronger, you're more efficient, right? So think about like remodeling your living room, right? So to remodel a living room, it's going to take some time, right? You're not just going to strength train and day one, week one of strength training, you're going to be like, oh man, now I'm going to be a stronger runner right off the bat. That's just the start, right? If you're going to make like a big remodeling of like your house or a living room or something, that may take you weeks, depending on how big the living room is or the types of remodeling you're doing. Same thing with the body. To actually remodel from strength training to like remodel your body with strength training, we're looking at a minimum 6 weeks, but closer to 12 weeks, in the middle 8 weeks, but I would say closer to 12 weeks just to get really get all the benefits of strength training. And then you want to continue that on forward. That's where you see a lot of strength training plans are 8 weeks or 12 weeks long. And yes, you could cycle different, sub goals of strength training, kind of like run training. We have, like base building and skill building, etc. So with strength training, again, it's usually about 8 to 12 weeks. You're going to start getting the benefits of strength training. You have to stay consistent with it, but you just can't, in a 12-week period in 3 months, like, oh, I only strength train twice in 3 months. No, 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 no. You got to be consistent week after week, showing up, doing your strength training workouts in addition to your runs. And then you'll notice the benefit of strength training that it has on your body when you go for a run. And many runners, there's other runners who may know maybe they dabbled in strength training. I call them the dabblers. And they're like, oh, I saw some tips about doing, very high reps and light weights. So they pick up some light 2-pound dumbbells. They do some presses, some squats and stuff like, oh, I'm doing strength training. Now, unless you're really deconditioned, like you're a 70-year-old athlete or like 80 years old, you're in a nursing home, like you're just very deconditioned, those very light weights are not going to fully strength train you unless you're a complete beginner and you have a hard time just getting out of the chair. Um, like if you could already do easily and it feels easy, you could just use an effort scale, like, easy, moderate, hard, or like 1 to 10 scale, like 10 is extremely hard, etc. to lift. If you could easily do air squats, so like talking about you do 30 air squats and it's super easy for you, and adding 2 pound dumbbells is not making a big difference. That means A, the weight is just super light, and the exercise that you selected with that weight, again, is just too light. You're gonna have to progress it. If you stay at a super light weight, you're not going to get any better. Sure, it may feel fun or enjoyable to get like a strength training class. Sometimes you go to these like cardio, body pump classes. Like a lot of gyms sometimes have these group strength training classes, and they're actually more done in a cardio fashion. And there's nothing wrong with cardio. Obviously, you're a runner, you like to do cardio. But if you're already running and that's why you already have a good cardio base, doing more cardio style workouts, like doing these light weight circuit style workouts, is just more drain or strain on your cardiovascular system if you already have a strong cardio base. Now, if you're a complete beginner, yes, there's some benefits to cross training and stuff, but we're talking about actual strength training. And if you want to do actual strength training, actually builds the muscles up and the tendons up, you have to go beyond just the super light weights and high reps. So how do I combine running and lifting? So, my philosophy on strength training is that as a means not just to get stronger, but also to facilitate recovery. See, a lot of runners just think about it like just another workout, but it's not just another workout. You actually, when you get stronger, you recover faster. You physically just bounce back faster. You go on a long run. And then if you're strong enough, you could actually go on another long run the following day, right? Because if your body's really strong, it could recover between workouts. You don't have to like wait a whole week before you go on another long run again. And that's just the beauty of strength training. A lot of people, a lot of beginner runners like, whoa, my body feels so drained after doing like a speed workout or a long run. When you do strength training and you add that as part of your regular running training plan, whether you're a 5K runner, a half marathon runner, you actually notice that your body actually recovers quicker. And further, even if you do get a mild ache and strain, another beautiful thing happens. You also recover quicker from injuries, right? So even if you have like something even more serious, like a meniscus tear or something, IT band syndrome. When you're a strong runner, a strong athlete, you also recover from these types of injuries. Some injury that may have taken someone like 6 months to recover, you could recover in like a month or 2 months. Sometimes, I've worked with someone, even myself as a runner, and I've gotten injured, and people see me limping for like a few days, but then I'm able to bounce back in a week. Like, wait, you were just limping and stuff, but then you look like you were in severe pain. And that's just because I do strength training. I'm consistent with the strength training and know how to, navigate around, work around an injury to continue to strength train in a safe way, of course, not to further aggravate things. And that's why it's important to stay balanced, right? You just can't run alone. If the only thing you do is just run, sure, it's better than just sitting on the couch and being couch potato, but you also got to strength train. I'm a big believer that all athletes are strength training, including runners. And again, even if you're just a 5K runner, you just do it for fun, you just still do strength training. Why? Because it just balances out your muscles and then doing functional strength training movements. So it's also very important to do functional movements, right? You just don't want to, do biceps curls and stuff, especially for a runner. Yes, you can train your arms, of course, but you got to train your legs. Running alone, sure, you get some activity in your legs, but if you really want to strengthen your legs for running alone is not it. You also need to do lower body strength exercises that will strengthen your legs. And then with stronger legs, stronger tendons, you could generate more force, you could go faster, and your legs can handle the impact of running. You probably heard me mention this in other videos, but running can have an impact force that's anywhere from like 2 to 3 times your body weight. So let's say you're a 100-pound runner, that's 200 to 300 pounds of force going through a single leg that your body needs to be able to handle. And by strength training, you can make your body's tissues more resilient so they can handle that impact load. So here's some, common questions I get about strength training for runners. Do I need to do lots of sets and reps, right? No, you build your endurance through running. Strength training is about muscle recruitment and tissue remodeling. And if you're doing it to supplement your running, right, you're not trying to be both a bodybuilder and a runner, just doing a single set is enough. Doing a single set of 8 to 12 repetitions, which is about like a moderate to heavy weight that you're lifting, is enough. You don't have to do, 10 sets of 8 repetitions or 10 sets of 20 repetitions, like these really high volume sets. Bodybuilders might do this because, they're trying to like optimize small muscle groups and things. But as a general rule, if you're just, a runner who wants to optimize their running and doesn't want to spend hours in the gym, a single set to muscle fatigue, they call it a single set to muscle failure, muscle fatigue. Obviously, you still want to have good technique, is plenty of stimulus to strengthen the muscles, the tendons, connective tissue. You get the benefits of strength training. And a lot of the research has shown that single set training can be just as effective as doing multiple sets, right? Doing 3, 4, 5, etc. sets. Just doing single sets saves you time in the gym. For example, when I do my single set training, it only takes me about 15 to 20 minutes. And this is doing like a full body routine, arms, core, and lower body. And sometimes if I'm super busy, I might just do lower body and only spend like 10 minutes or so, 8 to 10 minutes just doing lower body single set to routine to muscle fatigue. Another common question I get from runners is, will lifting heavy weights injure me? No, not if you warm up properly and focus what you can lift safely with proper technique, with proper form, right? If you're not sure, work with a trainer, work with someone who understands strength training, have them look at your form, look at your technique. There's no shame in just, getting some help in the very beginning. And once you learn proper form, it may take you a few sessions, it may take you 3 sessions, it may take you 6 sessions to really get the groove of a good routine for your strength training. Then you feel confident that you could go on your own. Or some people just like having the accountability of working with a trainer. That's cool too. And when done in this way, with, again, proper progression, you don't go super heavy right off the bat, right? You're not going to go from couch to marathon like with no training. Sure, you could, but you're going to get injured. Same thing with strength training. You're not going to go from couch to barbell back squats of 400 pounds, right? You're not going to start squatting 400 pounds on your back when you never even lifted a barbell, right? You're going to start with the empty bar, slowly add some weights to the bar, because the bar itself, like an Olympic style bar, is 45 pounds, right? So if all you've been doing is 2-pound dumbbells, and you're going to have to slowly work your way up. And sometimes a 45-pound bar might be too heavy. Maybe you have to do like the trainer bar. So you might have to do the 35-pound, or even like an aerobic bar, it's like 15 pounds. And then you slowly work your way up. And maybe you don't have access to barbells. Maybe you just start going heavier dumbbells. Or you don't even have access to dumbbells. Maybe you only have a machine. So you could do like the leg press machine, for example. There's different types of exercises. It doesn't have to all be machines or all be free weights or all be barbells or dumbbells. You can mix and match, of course. Another common question, won't I get bulky, right? They're like, oh, if I do strength training, am I going to bulk up? This is a concern a lot amongst runners, especially those who are trying to be fast. Because yes, there's a trade-off. If you're super muscular, right, there's a reason you don't see top bodybuilders winning the races, whether it's the 5K or a marathon. You don't see them, being number one in these races, in particularly any running race, because too much muscle bulk will slow you. There's a cost to being super muscular and bulky, right? It's good for bodybuilding and other types of strength sports, but for like pure speed and marathon running, it tends to favor like a leaner physique. However, if you do a single set of 8 to 12 reps, it's not going to bulk you up. And especially if you're not on any like steroids or performance enhancing drugs. A lot of times, a lot of these bodybuilders are on steroids as well. And some of these like fitness influencers you see, they're often taking steroids. Some of them like, oh, I run and I'm a bodybuilder. Oftentimes they're on steroid or different types of performance enhancement drugs. So they could be all like jacked up and then run. But trust me, they're still not winning the number one spot in different running races, unless like they're the only running, they're competing against like 80-year-olds. So that being said, if you just do one set of 8 to 12 reps, it's not going to bulk you up. And if you're not eating loads of like high protein foods, like you're trying to eat like a bodybuilder, if you're not eating like a bodybuilder, if you eat more like an endurance athlete, you're not going to get super bulky either, right? What about if I experience soreness? That's another question. This usually happens when you do, again, high volume type of workouts, too many sets, right? If you're doing like, again, these maybe you're doing 5 by 10 repetitions, 50, these high load, high volume type of workouts. Again, if you just do a single set of 8 to 12 reps, you oftentimes minimize the soreness. And now, yes, you might get sore in the very beginning if you're new to lifting. But if you start gradually working your way up with different strength factors, maybe you start with certain body weight movements. If that's super easy, you add some light to moderate weights, and you go moderate to heavy weights, etc. Another pro tip is actually using resistance bands. Oftentimes, resistance bands, you're able to do strength training like squats with bands, is actually a good way to strength train. I'm a big fan of doing like band systems because you can strength train with the bands, and oftentimes the band has, when you go with the lowering phase, let's take the squat, the eccentric phase, the lowering phase, the band takes the tension goes down when you lower, and the tension goes up as you rise up out of the squat. So actually, I'm actually a big fan of using band training to do like squats or deadlifts. There's different band systems out there. Do your research to see which one you like best. And then what exercises are best. So you want to focus on compound lifts. Big fan of doing squats or deadlifts. But even if you maybe you're like brand new and you want to start with machines, I'm also a big fan of beginners using machines. So you may want to do the leg press machine, leg extension machine, leg curl machine. And yes, you could do core and upper body. And big. You also should train your core, right? So definitely train your core as well. And yes, you could do upper body, right? You could do chest press. You could do push-ups. You could train your arm. So again, you get the idea. You could do full body workout, and you want to do this 2-3 times a week, right? And if you're on a season where it's a little slower, you could do like 3 strength workouts, 3 run workouts. It really depends on your schedule and your goals. If you're training for a marathon, maybe you start tapering down. You maybe taper down to just 1 strength workout a week because you have your race that's coming up in 2 or 3 weeks. Again, it really depends on what the purpose of your strength training is, like how you're, are you scheduling around a big race like a marathon, or just you're running for general fitness? And if that's the case, maybe again 2 or 3 strength workouts a week with like 3 or 4 run workouts a week. That could be fine. And in general, what exercises are best? Again, you want to focus on compound lifts as a general rule. But if you're rehabbing an injury or something, or maybe you have a lagging body part, like say you have one, like a knee that's kind of weak, you could do isolation work, like the leg extension machine or the leg curl machine, right? You do isolation exercises. And then as you get more advanced, you also do like more single leg exercise, like Bulgarian split squat, or you could do single leg squat or like pistol squat, right? So there's different progressions of different strength exercises you could do. So here's some, again, practical take-home advice. If you're a runner, maybe you're brand new to strength training, or you're like, hey, how do I get better with strength training? I do at least 2 strength workouts a week as a general rule. Again, obviously there's exceptions around like big races, but again, 2 strength workouts a week. You could also do them alongside running. For example, you may run in the morning and then do a strength workout in the evening, right? That's something I typically do. Or other times when I'm more pressed for time, I actually may combine the workouts, like do running first, and then right after do strength training, or vice versa. It depends what equipment I have access to. Maybe I go to the gym, the strength training stuff is available, and then right after I may do my run on the treadmill, or more go out for a run depending on the weather. And as essentially when you're a beginner, you typically want to stick with bilateral or using exercise that involves 2 legs, like for example, double leg squat, so your standard squat, and then progress to the unilateral, like the single leg squat or a lunge. And then obviously you want to train the full body, not just the lower body. Yes, lower body is very important for running, but your upper body, because your arm swing is important for sure. And your core, you want a stable core. So definitely incorporate core workouts as well. Planks, side planks, Russian twist, pile off press. There's different types of exercise you could do and different tools. You could do barbells, you could do kettlebells, you could do bands, you could do body weight, but you have to make it moderately challenging, right? If you're doing these exercises and they're way too easy, you're already past the beginner phase, you're gonna have to find ways to progress them to make it harder. You may even stand like on a balance foam or beam to make an exercise more off balance and challenge your balance system while you strengthen as well. So remember, the main takeaway of this is that, yes, running can help make you a better runner, but lifting, in addition to running, will make you help you get faster, help you get stronger, help you recover between your run workouts, and help you stay injury free. So, don't think strength training is just for the bodybuilders or just for professional athletes. Even if you're a weak and warrior, and it doesn't matter your age, you could be a 20-year-old runner, you could be a 60-year-old runner, you can even be the 70-year-old runner, right? Every age group can benefit from strength training in addition to doing their runs. So do you want help with running and lifting? Check out my free training that I'm going to put in the link below. Learn how to integrate both for your routine seamlessly.